Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Mirror Podcast. I am your host, Alvin Fadhili, and I am joined by
Anthony Minor.
and
Kini niko na homa.
yeah.
Baridi ni mingi in this Nairobi.
Sorry, manze. And so today we're going to talk about questioning your worth, and not just questioning your worth, and the journey or the way to find peace with yourself. So, what is questioning your self-worth as you know it, Anthony Minor?
Questioning your self-worth is a situation where you're asking yourself whether this specific action or situation is deserving, or you're deserving of what is going on, right? So let's say you won a lottery. So you are questioning your self-worth in that situation would be asking yourself if you're deserving to win the lottery.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So, this is quote unquote a very interesting topic or interesting discussion to have for me, and it's going to be quite technical. So bear with me, yeah. Itakuwa ni kama tuko darasa. It'll be like it's a full-on class to understand what it is not, and how to actually deal with it. And the reason why it's really quite interesting to me is that it's one of the main reasons I did what I do with my I chose to do what I do with my life these days. Like, it's what drove me to pursuing, quote unquote, my dreams, or pursuing my, choice in career. So to start with, why do you question your self-worth? What do you think, Anthony?
Well, there's a lot, because you could question your self-worth based off of you being questioned by other people. So societal questioning, you could do it as a result of self. Maybe you feel like you're not adequate enough to handle the task at hand.
Yeah.
So it could mainly be those two, external or internal. So external is society, maybe your parents, friends, relatives, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And the other one is self.
That is very true. And that's very important that you have said that it's both what you think about yourself and what society has shown you. So there's a guy that I will get to. Let me not get there yet. At least for what I know and what I have read, because this is something I would say I have put a lot of effort on. There is society. So societal conditions to begin with, yeah? What the societal conditions do? They put in place, quote unquote, measures that end up clarifying achievement, or categorizing the right word, categorizing achievements as the only way to determine self-worth, or the most important way to identify self-worth. And honestly, self-worth is just basically what you think of yourself as a human being. It doesn't have to do anything with what you have achieved or what you've not achieved.
I guess the reason why achievements are put into consideration in this whole story, maybe I might be wrong, but I guess the reason is because achievements are measurable, right? So academic achievements, the grades you got are measurable. Like there's A, B, C, D, and then there's the other ones. Maybe money is a measurable statistic.
Yeah.
Company rankings are a measurable statistic. The level of education is a measurable statistic according to society. So I guess that may have led to society having that metric of achievements to measure self-worth. Because if you expand society to become a big enough thing, some things, like what you think about yourself can't really be measured, right? So let's say you think...
How come?
let's say you think of yourself as an optimistic person.
Yes.
How can we measure your optimism? It's an immeasurable thing because
How?
it's an internal thing, right?
Mhm.
So
Can you measure your knowledge?
no, you can't.
And you just said knowledge is education.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Knowledge is education,
Mhm.
right? So how do you measure your knowledge?
Based off of
How is competency measured?
grades.
So for everything you have learned since you were born,
Mm-hmm.
the exams you have undergone or the kind of assessments that you have undergone,
Mm-hmm.
have they touched on every single aspect of it?
No.
Then education is not a measurable aspect.
All right.
So if that is a concept, if you're using the concept of saying your self-worth, what you think about yourself, in for your example,
Mm-hmm.
being optimistic is not measurable. That is impossible, because being optimistic by definition
Mm-hmm.
means you're one to look at life in the positive aspect,
Mm-hmm.
to think that life is going to be better, like just looking at the good side of things.
Mm-hmm.
That is how optimism is measured.
Mm-hmm.
As a human being, you're striving to look at the good even when you're bad in bad situations. Meaning, it can be measured, because the matrix of measurement does not have to be kilometers, does not have to be grades, does not have to be or any other metric of measure. And competency is not a metric. It's not a measure metric, because what we did in high school
Mm-hmm.
was not to measure competency.
Mm-hmm.
It was to measure knowledge. Competency and knowledge are two different things. That is why in our country they have changed the learning system from KCSE, KCPE, the 844 system,
Mm-hmm.
to a competency-based curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning it is concerned about what you know, what you understand, not the knowledge you have absorbed. So, to answer your question, optimism, or to add into your information, optimism is measured by having to be in situations where life is shit, which is nearly every single day,
Mm-hmm.
and you still strive to look for a better day, or like wait for a better tomorrow, because you're not always in shit.
Mm.
Yeah. Sorry for the quote unquote vulgar language. Yeah.
Quote unquote. Mm-hmm.
So, society, like you have said, expects us to have certain conditions, certain subgroups and categories for them to be able to clarify us as worthy of something. Yeah, and that is on society. It's not you. You, as you are from birth, is not the same person you are today, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the authenticity you had for, let's say, give or take 1 to 3 years of your life, or let's give it 1 to 5 years, because there are some people who got the opportunity to be themselves for quite a bit. That version of you is the most authentic version you could ever be in such a society that we are in. Because the moment you get into school, they're pushing you to learn how to write, learn how to read. I'll give an example. In our country, some time back, it was a taboo. I'll speak of my community very highly. It was a taboo to write with your left hand.
Mm-hmm.
The only way you could write is write with your right hand. So it was wrong to write with your left. Like, you're doing it wrong. Why?
Someone somewhere decided it should be so. And
Not
then
someone somewhere. The Englishman came to our country and said, people write with their right. That's why it's called the right. People do things in this way. So when you're short of that, you're doing things wrong.
Mm.
But didn't we strive to get ourselves out of the colonialism? or out of the to become independent.
We did.
Why did we just become independent by name, by not action, by just by name, but not by action or by living? Because we're only independent by name. There's nothing else. There's no other metric of independence we can use other than the fact that we say we are an independent country. That we have our own government, we have our own system. Everything, okay, not everything, but a really big part of everything else is still under the colonial rule. Because I wasn't there before they came, but I'm pretty sure these guys, they didn't have so many problems. They didn't have as many problems as we have today. Because these guys, to be honest, there's something called defilation of a corpse. Defiling a corpse is basically you have put a dead body in a manner in which is inappropriate. To some extent, it does make sense. When someone defiles a corpse in terms of, quote unquote, sexual behavior or cutting off limbs or, trying to take away something from the corpse, that is wrong. But some people say that cremation, burning the corpse, is that is defiling the corpse. Like you're doing wrong to the human being. And I'm still wondering why that is, because people die, and according to what we are told is that you leave this physical body and go to another one. That's what they tell us. But in layman terms, you come from the soil, you shall go back to the soil. So if you were to just be thrown into the woods, like they used to,
hyenas to eat
like
me
they used to do
back in the day.
Yeah. And it's not that they didn't have remorse. They had remorse. They actually used to mourn properly. They used to actually mourn the right way. They just didn't want to spend money on a soul that has already left our space.
So what you're saying is, right now we've tied like the whole after death process to money and celebration.
Exactly. No, celebrations is fine. You can celebrate. You're supposed to celebrate, but don't celebrate the death. You're supposed to celebrate the life. See, the thing is, I don't even believe people should wear black in funerals.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Because why are you mourning? Death is the final stage of life. Like death is a rite of passage when we come to the traditional aspect of things. We learned it as a rite of passage. So you will glorify all the other rites of passage, but when it comes to death, it is treated like it's something that is wrong. Like it's taboo these days, just to say.
Even talking about death is people find it weird.
Yeah.
To me, I view life has three constants: time, change, and death.
Yeah.
Death being a form of change, but like death is your eventuality. Like you're going to die eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll download your consciousness into some robot somewhere. Who knows? But your physical body is going to die, decayed, and maybe who knows what happens. Maybe ants will pop into your coffin and have a feast of you, and whatever happens. But you're going to die. So I actually ask people, do you ever think about death? Like, do you ever think about what it's going to be before you die, right? Because we hear a lot of stories of people who are on their deathbeds and all that, right? They regret things that they didn't do. They have this mindset. They are free. They've let go of most of what was bugging them on the planet, or what material wealth they had. They tend to be like more genuine people as the life fades away from them, right?
Yeah.
And humans have this. Me and my dad were having this conversation about life support. And we were saying, if it ever gets to the point where I have to be put on life support, I'd rather die. Because life support costs a lot of money, right? So it's like a lot of resources. And people who are put on life support most times are not asked if they want to be on life support. This person might be in a coma or something,
Yeah.
and they're in like serious pain, but since they can't express it, you're putting them on life support, right? Especially for people who are like well off.
Yeah.
So the conversation we were having, and we were having it like as a family basically, and like it got really weird because people started acting as though we are talking about something that will not eventually happen, right?
We fear death too much.
Yeah, and people should be open to the idea of death. Death, as you said, is the final rite of passage in life, right? Moving on to the next chapter. Who knows what happens? There's a lot of talk about, the next life. Me personally, I think we should focus on this life that we're living now. Finish that one, and then now when it gets to that next one, we shall know when we are there, man.
Exactly.
This whole story of sijui, you'll be given new bodies, new nini, new, said who went there, was given, and came back to tell us that, it might just be, once you die, it's like a film, cut to black, end of story.
Yeah.
So in as much as people have, I don't know why, especially religious people, they tend to have an obsession with what happens after death, forgetting that death itself is something, right?
Yeah, you're about touching into a very, very sensitive topic. And we have digressed so far.
Let me not go there. Let's go.
Yeah. So, like we originally said, there are societal conditions that have created a sense of achievement or tangible assessments or proof that you are worth. But do you understand that we are human beings? We are the people who have created a lot that is on this planet. By just that, it means our worth is of very high value. To be able to communicate from one individual to another, to understand what they're saying. Do you know, people speak more than one language. That is a great value of self-worth. But, what do I know, yeah? Anyway, as we move on, yeah? There is comparison. A whole lot of comparison. Like, you always want to compare yourself to the other person, to the next person, to the person who is ahead of you, the person who's below you, because people compare themselves. They're like, oh, by the way, I'm not that bad. This person is going through worse, or something like that, yeah? Comparison really brings a whole lot into either thinking you're not worth it, or thinking that, yeah, I might not be where I want to be, but at least I'm not that bad, because that's also another version. And on comparison, we really cannot stop it all at once. Actually, none of this can actually just stop at once. It's a process, yeah? You get to a point where it is either you or this other person. But life is not like that, to be honest. You can, in this planet of ours, there's enough for everyone. You don't have to scramble for all of it. To be honest, I'm not even going to say it's religious or anything, but the superior being that has created all this that is on this planet has given enough for everyone. Like, it's enough for everyone. Why are you fighting for it? Why are you hogging a lot of it so that others don't get it?
I don't wanna let out my anger onto gatekeepers of society, because
Yeah.
humans have this thing where you get to a certain point, and then you decide all of this should be mine, no one else should have it. Especially our dear African leaders. We're facing some very serious problems in terms of what our leaders are doing, because they get to points of power and affluence and authority. Then I don't know if it's like the power that gets to their heads or something. They take it all. They are just, they're just satisfying their pockets. I've actually been on social media of late, and I'm seeing a trend where like people are saying if they were the president, they'd put their friends as the minister of finance because they never have budgets. And
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy that it's normalized now. Like we've gotten to a point where it's okay. Like we know our governments are stealing money.
At this point, they're not even trying to hide it. Like they're not. But let's not go there, yeah? Let's not go there.
Back to comparison.
Yeah.
In as much as comparison can like degrade or take away from your self-worth,
Yeah.
it depends on what you're comparing yourself to and like why you're comparing. The reason why you're comparing matters.
Yeah.
Because if I'm comparing myself to you based off of the amount of money I have, so that I can either feel nice or feel bad, that's just like, if that's a very dangerous place to be, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have more money than me, all of a sudden I'm in a bad place. I'm thinking to myself, oh, how can I get more money so that I can beat him? And truth be told, comparison is a sticky situation, and it's very hard to pull yourself away from comparison because you compare.
Yeah.
Like, it happens.
Yeah.
You find yourself, this person has a nice car better than mine. It might happen even subconsciously when you don't know. But it's very good for you to be intentional about it and like try to take as much power away from it as possible.
That's true. So, the other thing, yeah, why most of the time we question our worth is based on past traumas. And you can go back to our episode on understanding generational trauma to get more information about this. But yeah, there is a lot that comes with the baggage of carrying pain and hurt and damage from your childhood, especially, that creates either a sense of high self-worth or very self-worth. Yeah, most of the time it's going to be very low self-worth. Sorry, low. That's what I meant. Yeah, and a lot of the time, it ends up causing a lot. And what does it cause? It causes a lot of psychological, quote unquote, psychological problems, anxiety, depression, really, really a whole lot of self-loathing that comes from not thinking you could ever be good enough because of what someone else has said, someone else has acted. And the thing is, it's usually the people we think know more about life, know more about everything. So we believe that whatever they're saying has to be right, has to be true. It really has to be the only thing that is right and true. So you end up giving yourself so much less, putting yourself down in so many different ways because you believe because they know better, they have to be right. But the thing is, knowing way more doesn't mean you have more knowledge. It does not mean you have more understanding. It does not mean you have more wisdom. It just means you have a lot of content in your head. And the thing about having a lot of content in your head, sometimes it makes you stupid. Sorry to say. To anyone who feels like they have been attacked, I apologize. But honestly, there is a lot that we have held high on other people, and it's not fair. And most of the time, it's usually a parent or a guardian or someone of quote-unquote authority in our life.
Someone of high consideration.
Yes. And honestly, it does make a lot of things difficult for you as an individual. Remember, everyone is a human.
At the end of the day, yeah.
Everyone is a human. Everyone does make mistakes. Everyone No one has a manual to life. Okay? So you as you are here today, whatever age you are, and the person you are you're holding so much higher in thought or in even actual reality is also a human being. And at the point they have gotten, they don't have monopoly of knowledge. Actually, no one has monopoly of anything. Not like absolutely nothing. Even as I speak here right now, whatever I'm saying, I have read a lot about it. I have read so many things about it. But at the same time, I don't have all the knowledge. So everything you receive, everything you take in, remember, it's not that they have every single understanding, they know everything, they're always right. Sometimes they've made an honest mistake, and maybe it's because they've also not healed, because they're also having their own problems. And this is not to justify anything, but it's to make it real, to make it human. Remember, you as you are, you're doing your best, to be honest. In any situation, that's the first time you're doing it. Even if it's something you're repeating, it's the first time you're doing it. Because last time it happened differently. Even the way we're recording, we change a few things here and there every time, because we learn as we move on, as we grow. So that's quite a lot when it comes to why we question our worth. Give us 1 second. So here we're going to talk about something very, very technical. Sawa? So kama you want to write something down, pick a pen bwana.
Sisi yao.
Kwa sababu hii ni darasa. So there's a psychologist who is if you want background on him, mi sitaanza kumbuka kitu nilikuwa nafanya, I don't even know how many semesters ago. But there's someone called Carl Rogers, yeah? So Carl Rogers is a psychologist who focuses on humanistic approach. Is basically an approach that focuses on individual perspective on themselves and on how, the world works. And it tries to understand how to focus on self-growth, how to focus on pushing yourself to become a better person. And it revolves on 3 main concepts: self-image, self-esteem, and ideal self. So self-image refers to the way you view yourself as a person, the way you see yourself as an individual, the way you are as a human being, as of now, as you are right now, okay? Self-esteem stroke self-worth. So this is where it's coming in, yeah? So self-worth is the level of value, the level of grace and, basically just value, the way you value yourself, yeah? And people of high esteem value themselves highly. They have greater self-worth, but we'll touch on that. And then there's ideal self. What is ideal self? Ideal self is the person you're trying to become, the version of yourself you're trying to get to. So how do all these things relate? So self-image, how you believe you are as of now, how you see yourself at the moment, is the base. That's the ground, yeah? That's the reality of things as they are. Self-esteem stroke self-worth is what you perceive yourself to become, what you feel like you are about to be, the thing you feel like you are developing to become, okay? Then there is ideal self. That is how you get to, like, imagine yourself. Let's say you want to become a successful businessman, you want to become are successful in your area of study, you want to become a parent, you want to become whatever it is, yeah? Ideal self. That's what it is, yeah? Then there's two concepts that are very, very, very important, yeah? There's congruence and incongruence, okay? Hizi ni words mzito mzito. These are heavy content words, yeah? Or unless you're smart, yeah, and you know congruence from mathematics or from physics. Yeah, I think those are the only two things that talked about congruence. So congruence means alignment. It means it follows the same path. Yeah? Incongruence means it does not. It veers off the said path. Okay? So, congruence is being able to understand your self-image, understand your self-esteem, which is your self-worth, and compare to the ideal self and see that they are in line.
Mhm.
That the person you are right now, the idea of who you are, the value you put on yourself, is leading you to the person you want to become. That is congruence. Incongruence is the direct opposite, yeah? Who you are right now, the value you hold yourself, is not leading you to the person you want to become.
Mhm.
It's that simple, yeah? So, this incongruence is what we're going to talk more about, because having congruence means you have, good self-worth, you have good self-image, and you're able to lead your life the way you want it to be, because your ideal self is what you believe yourself to be, not anyone else other than yourself. Okay? So, there's something else called positive regard. So positive regard is, how do I put it? Let me give an example so that you understand it better. It's, let's say you're in school. You get an A in English, you get a B in chemistry, you get whatever grades, yeah? And some of them are on the lower side. Like you have E, F, or whatever. Those are the small, quote unquote, small grades, yeah? And when you go home and you show your parents your grade book, they look at it and they're like, you have done well. They don't say, oh, you've done well in English, you've done well in Swahili, you've done well in math. Mm-hmm. But what about this chemistry? What about this French? What about this whatever? Okay? That is positive congruence, basically. Mm-hmm. And to be more specific, that is unconditioned positive congruence. Okay? Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. I've said positive congruence. Positive regard. I'm sorry. I was mixing up things. So that's positive regard. How does it relate to congruence or incongruence? So people who have received unconditional positive regard end up having congruence. They end up having good self-image, good self-worth, and they work to be what they want to be. So they lead life heading towards their ideal self. And there's also conditioned positive regard. Conditioned positive regard now comes up as your worth is seen with but a condition. Okay? The first one is without condition. So whether you are a murderer, whether you pee the bed and you're still a grown up, whatever it is, anything and everything is regarded as it is, because we are human beings. People are different. And you're received with the grace of humanity. Okay? You're received with the benefit of doubt. Like, you're allowed to live life as you are. That is unconditional positive regard. Conditional positive regard comes in as your accepted, but with a condition, like I said, had earlier said. And this is where achievement comes in. Yeah, this is what society really holds on. Yeah, you're only accepted once you meet some expectations, some quote unquote goals, some quote unquote desired results. Yeah, and this is what really plays a big part in lowering your self-worth, and it actually brings down your whole entire being. Because if you don't meet that target, if you don't meet whatever they expect you to meet, you are no longer worthy, quote unquote. And now it becomes internal. Now you don't love yourself, or you don't care about yourself as much because you haven't met a certain criteria. You are not responsible to meet every single criteria. Okay? So, this will now take us back to the psychological impact of low self-esteem. I have told you about the humanistic approach, okay? And if you have anything to add or anything to ask, you can, shoot. The psychological impact of low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, and all the other things that I had said earlier. And there's also one other thing that is really, really very common, more common than we think it is. Self-sabotage and imposter syndrome, sorry. So, anxiety and depression, we all know that, yeah? You get to feel inadequate. You don't feel like you're worthy. You don't feel like you're able to meet said expectations, so you just don't do it at all, or you just get overly anxious. Normal levels of anxiety are allowed, because anxiety is a feeling that's supposed to be felt, and every single human being feels anxious for one reason or the other. But extreme anxiety now becomes a problem. So something that I learned, this is now pure psychological, is everything is a spectrum. Okay? But that spectrum has two extreme ends. So there's that extreme end to the positive. To the positive means when you're too happy, when you're too good, when you're too fine, like everything is just going so great for you, there is a problem. When everything is going too negative, there is a problem. Okay? All this, everything that you feel, everything that you are, should be felt in coalition to the other. So there's why do I keep on forgetting that hormone? Cortisol. Yeah? There's cortisol and dopamine. They are quote unquote far brothers. Because when you have high dopamine, you have low cortisol. When you have high cortisol, you have low dopamine. That's just an example. And for the rest of those other hormones that play part, it works the same. That's actually the main difference between a man and a woman. Testosterone and progesterone. Progesterone. Yeah, those are the two different major differences. But I digress. So, you can feel all that you're feeling at manageable paces, and that is what is quote unquote normal and quote unquote accepted. So, imposter syndrome, that's when you don't feel like you're worthy, like you had said, the example of, was it a lottery?
Yeah.
Yes, a lottery. You win a lottery and then you ask yourself, am I really worth this win? So you don't feel like it is for you. Don't feel like you have done quote unquote enough for it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So does like you being deserving of something, you questioning your whether or not you deserve to get this thing, like is it in line with what we're discussing right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I will add on later.
Yeah. So, good. That's actually a very good example. So, having imposter syndrome is what causes that high level of questioning. because everyone's this is the thing is, all I'm being concerned about are the extremes.
So the median point is
that's normal. That's what we are as human beings, because we have no manual in life. So if you question, like, you're like, now by the way, have I done enough to, get to this, like, to get this award? And then after that you're like, yeah, actually, if I look at it, I have done enough. That's fine. Questioning yourself is not a problem. But questioning yourself and actually seeing that there's no way you are worthy of it is now a problem. Because there's no quote unquote said measure or metrics of worth for different people. The way you measure your worth is significant and personal to you. The way I measure mine is mine. So we can't use the same metrics to measure. So, on imposter syndrome, when you question yourself whether you are worthy of something or whether you deserve it, and keep on questioning yourself and actually tell yourself that you are not, that is a point. That's a case of imposter syndrome. Unless it's something like, like you said, when you become president, you give, the example you give, when you become president, you're going to give your friends jobs. That financially responsible friend, you're going to give them minister of finance. So that one, you do not need any metrics to measure whether they are worthy or not. They are not.